A very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Mr. Leslie, for introducing me. Well, I'm from Hyderabad right now. So here, yesterday it rained here and the very wonderful weather. I don't know about Delhi, how hot it is. I read somewhere in the Twitter that it's really simmering hot. So maybe you can envy us for a few more days. It's cooler here. But of course, temperatures are going to pick up after a few days here too in Hyderabad. I thank the Hindustan Times main for having me here today. It's really, heartening to actually see the audience there, despite the challenges, all of you being here to be part of this event. Unfortunately, I could not come down to Delhi because of some personal, exigency. And thanks to Hindustan Times for actually arranging this virtual, facility. Well, coming to the topic today, bringing about digital transformation with AI is what I'm going to talk about. And before that, I just want to, before I actually talk about AI, I would like to give a brief, overview of what we are doing. As earlier, there was a lot of, he mentioned a lot about emerging technologies, cloud, quantum computing, and so on. So in Telangana, we have set up way back in 2017, I think, considering the advent of Industrial 4.0 or Industry 4.0 or Fourth Industrial Revolution, we set up a separate vertical or wing, which is unthinkable for a government to do it in emerging technologies. And since then, we have been focusing on all the technologies that Mr. Leslie just now talked about, starting from artificial intelligence, blockchain, cloud, IoT, quantum computing. So, 2020, in fact, we declared the year itself as Year of AI. Most of us would like to forget the year 2020 because of the COVID. But for us, that's the year we started our AI, initiatives. And today we have made significant progress in this field. Well, just now we have seen, the potential of India's AI market, which is pegged at around, there are different numbers by different reports. One from International Data Corporation says it's around 7.8 billion by 2025. And last year, McKinsey released a report, McKinsey and NASCOM, I think, released a report, AI and Data. That report says there is about $500 billion worth of potential can be realized through data. That's the kind of potential that we are looking at. And it's indeed a huge opportunity that needs to be leveraged both by the industry and also to be promoted and adopted by the government. So while enterprises can leverage, artificial intelligence to remain competitive, to improve their bottom line. But for the government, the interesting thing is that AI can enable solutions, that can be deployed at population scale. So that's the kind of scale that we are also looking at, from AI solution, which I would actually brief you, a little later. Well, as has already been said, why is the world actually ready for AI solutions at population scale? Well, one key thing is availability of data. As I said in the earlier McKinsey report, it identified around, I think, 9 sectors wherein, which can actually release this potential. Agriculture alone constitutes around 65 billion worth of, potential. Like if you can really, release data sets or identify data sets or make data sets available in the agriculture sector alone, it actually could release, $65 billion worth of potential. So that's one part of, or one aspect of it, where the government holds huge amount of data and can make it available. The other aspect is, with the advent of the digital world, mobiles, IoT devices, multiple digital devices, data is being generated at individual level at unprecedented scale, So this allows for AI to play a very meaningful, role in our everyday lives, I would say. And we are seeing it, like Amazon, all of us are experiencing that. The second factor is the computational power. The cost of hardware computational power has significantly come down. From in the year 2000, 1 million operations would have costed 15 million. but now 8 trillion operations would cost us $600. So this is the cost savings that we're looking at. And of course, third is the important algorithms. We have now both open source and proprietary and have progressed significantly and are enabling many new use cases as of now, So for us, before I get into the details of the projects that we're working on, which are likely to be scaled up across the state, I would like to explain our strategy, our approach on AI that is yielding excellent results. As I said, in 2020, our government, has declared this year of AI, and we actually came out with an AI framework. And in fact, we do this for all our policies, starting from blockchain, cloud, IoT. So we identify key pillars on which the government to focus on. And we also identify domain areas where the government would actually work or adopt these solutions. Like, for example, in AI, we said we'll actually bring in transformation in sectors such as agriculture, healthcare, education, transportation, and smart cities. So these are the 5 domain areas. And now we have included climate change is also one of the focus areas. So to achieve this digital transformation with AI, our government is looking at the ecosystem holistically. It's not like individual or siloed kind of approach, but it's a holistic approach that we have adopted. So what we have done is, as I said earlier, we have actually formulated the policy framework and we have set up an institutional mechanism to execute that framework. The second one is undertaking population scale projects. Third is encouraging innovation and entrepreneurship. And fourth, most importantly and specific to AI, is setting up the governance mechanism in view of the ethics, privacy. So coming to the first activity or the strategic approach that we are doing is, as I said, we have come out with an AI framework with 6 pillars. Of course, the first pillar relates to data and data exchange platforms, skilling and education, research and innovation, and so on, and identified 5 domain areas as I mentioned it earlier. Once we have this framework or the strategy document in place, we set up institutions of excellence or COEs we call, and in this case we said we established Telangana AI Mission or TA. This is again in partnership with NASSCOM, and it has been working for in existence for the last 2 to 3 years. And we have actually organized a grand challenge in agriculture, and to our surprise, there was a lot of interest generated from the startup ecosystem. And as on today, we are actually working with more than dozen startups in agriculture. That led to sort of galvanize the whole ecosystem, agri ecosystem in Telangana. The second one is, as Mr. Leslie Del Monte also mentioned about skilling and education. In the TIDE report, even Telangana made it to the list, though Bangalore has come in the top in terms of talent availability in AI. Bangalore is listed in top 10, but Telangana also made to the list. I'm not sure of the number, but it could be around within 20s, I think. So we have actually, we want to make Telangana as a talent hub. And so far we have trained about 10,000 people, and we are going to train another 20,000 in the near future, in the next 2 to 3 years. While we know that, across the value chain of AI, you need different skill sets. In fact, NASSCOM mapped around 19 job roles. But there is also a market, which is related to data annotation, which is estimated to grow to $7 billion, dollars. And this is going to provide huge opportunity in terms of jobs. So it could actually engage a workforce up to 1 million are the estimates. So we are actually setting up data annotation clusters in Tier 2 cities. We already have one cluster in Nizamabad district. And again, there are certain startup companies who moved to Nizamabad and are actually recruiting, people, who have passed out 10th, 12th, who are actually living in these Tier 2 cities. And they're really happy with the availability of the talent for data annotation. So this is about, developing frameworks, setting up institutional mechanisms. And a third, within that, there are 2 more, things that I would like to mention is, our government has actually issued a government order, we call it, that enables us to procure from startups on nomination basis. This applies to all the emerging technologies, irrespective of where, but of late we have been focusing on AI. So there is another, activity that comes under the institutional mechanism is, all of us know the value of data, and Dr. Sailesh Kumar is also here, so who, I've interacted, very knowledgeably interacted with him earlier, and who can actually let us know the value of data, Of course, whoever is in AI, they would know about it, and we have been hearing about these buzzwords, data is the currency, data is the oil, and so on. So we are actually planning to set up a data exchange platform. Initially, it is focused on agriculture. So unlocking the value of data that is available with the government. This is something like an UPI that we are actually planning to have it, very thin interface, thin platform. And it's like a transaction where, different data service providers, it could be government, startups, research organizations, any organization, any entity that has data that it want to make it available to others, they can actually use this platform for such data. It's only a data exchange platform, and we're not going to store data on it. This is going to be a very unique initiative. And once it's successful in agriculture, we're going to actually implement this in other sectors too. Now I'll actually, we understand, that our challenges are different. Indian context is totally different than the West or other countries. The challenges our farmers are facing, the challenges our health sector is facing, and the challenges the education sector is actually facing these days. So therefore, the solutions that our country needs are different from the rest of the world. Sorry? Therefore, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Thank you. Therefore, the solutions that India needs are different from the rest of the world, and we're cognizant of this, and we're actually building solutions, from scratch, suitable for the Indian scenarios or Indian situations. Maybe that could be used by the rest of the world. So, as I said, we have chosen agriculture as the first domain to focus on. We have about 6 million farmers in Telangana, and I think more than 100 million in the rest of the country. And we are really implementing some exciting projects. One is what we call is Sagu Bagu. It's in Telugu dialect, Telangana dialect, it's called good cultivation. It's really difficult to translate it literally, but it's called good cultivation. Initially, we came up with what you call AI for AI, artificial intelligence for agriculture innovation. While there are AI solutions that play a critical role across the value chain of crop, but we realized that we need a range of technologies, that can be deployed across the value chain of different crops. So there's a flagship project that we are working on. I'm really, excited to see the outcomes at the end of the 2 crop seasons. This we are working in partnership with World Economic Forum to leverage technologies to enhance, productivity and profitability to farmers. This is what our minister always says, whenever you actually implement a technology, it should benefit the common man. So the vision of this project is to transform the state of agriculture, by deploying technologies in a scalable, inclusive, and sustainable way. So under this, if I look at AI solutions, we are using it in different crop, in different areas like pre-season crop planning advisories, pest management advisories, output market linkages, and so on. And we're in the pilot project, we're targeting around 15,000 farmers over the next 2 crop seasons or next 2 years. And we have already, we call them as project implementation partners, are already on board, and the work has already started. And there are other solutions also, blockchain for traceability and AI for quality assaying, IoT sensors. And again, I want to emphasize here, we're not using technology for the sake of it, but we have identified use cases where technology can solve those problems and, help the farmer. Another interesting project that we have, it's not part of Sagu Bagu, it's a different one that we worked in partnership with Vadvani AI. Again, in AI, it's not that the government or any enterprise can work alone. It's actually a collaboration or a partnership model that really works wonders. So this AI pest management, we have partnered with Vadvani AI, and we have implemented this in 6 districts for the cotton crop. It's an AI-based solution that detects pink bollworm. That's a pest that attacks the cotton and destroys the crop. So, the result is lower number of, sprays and lower cost to the farmer in terms of fertilizers or micronutrients. So leading to higher pilot. That's a very interesting project that we did, and we are looking at scaling up the project across the state. The other one is again quality assaying, and which we have used. All of us know that when the way the produce is actually graded or the quality assessed it's very subjective, very manual process. So for the particular crop like paddy and rice and red gram grains, we are actually using an AI computer vision based solution developed by a Hyderabad based startup. So that pilot is about to complete in a month or so. Probably would get to know the results. These are the various initiatives that we are working on. Another important one we are working on is startup ever program, it's called, where we have around 80 AI startups that we are actually providing a number of services from market connect to venture capitalist funding and so on. So concluding, I believe that the approach we have adopted in developing the ecosystem holistically would help our vision to position Telangana, thereby India is one of the global hubs in AI, fostering social innovation. So we believe that these AI solutions which touch the lives of each farmer, each health worker and every individual, delivering value to each of them. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Over to you.